surprised. Side of one, steps inside. He gets through. That's a foot race.
Happy Tuesday and welcome to FloRugby's The Miss Pass Live. I'm with the ever-present Alex Goff.
I think I counted right. I think it's actually 22 now.
Yeah, I think it is 22.
Yeah.
So episode
Pretty
22.
excited about that.
Alex can count, great. And in the corner, as always, we have Michael Kramer. How are you doing, Michael?
You know, I'm alright. Pretty busy, pretty exhausted. Goff's had me working neck deep and work all weekend, so I'm just trying to get those numbers.
That's the way it should be. I mean, you need to work faster, though.
I'm trying my hardest
more
here.
creativity.
You're looking a little different. Have you done something with your hair?
Well, you know. Made sure to shampoo it and condition.
Yeah,
so of course that wasn't Mike Kramer, but we do have on the show. Unfortunately, we don't have Mike, but we do have Knute O'Donnell, who is the scrum half, one of the scrum halves for Austin Elite. Knute, how are you?
Yeah,
doing great.
Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on the show.
No worries. Like the nice little bit of stash you got going on here as well.
I'm trying a little bit.
Yeah,
trying my best here.
Yeah, see, we're competing for stash here. Which is the best rugby club in Austin? I don't know. Which is the best stash?
Hey, I'm a fan of both clubs. Fan of both clubs.
So diplomatic.
Yeah. Got to.
One's a little bit more understated than the other, I gotta say, though. Yeah. This one's like, here I am, and I'm here again.
That's why you can pull it off your seat, though.
Yeah,
with the mullet and the bright colours.
You talking about this whole thing?
Yeah, I mean, it's lovely. What's the inspiration behind it?
You know, I had one in college, and it, you know, kind of get like some kind of weird superpowers when you have a mullet, you know what I'm saying? There's just something about it. And a big inspiration of mine was Mayor Chris Bowman. He played for the Austin Blacks a couple years. Yeah. And yeah, you know, I just figured as my hair was getting too long. It worked well for him. Go for it. Yeah, it worked great for him. So.
He's now at Leicester and trying to get some game time over there. But
absolutely, man. Following his footsteps.
That's all you need is the hair.
That's it.
Really.
Yeah. Have you ever seen that video with Chris Bowman in the snow and doing the workouts and stuff?
That's good.
It's one of the best ones ever.
It
really is.
It's fantastic.
with the inner tube, he just gives it a nudge. It starts to go down the hill, and he just throws the ball into it. That's cool.
They should have put him in the 1986 state championship game. They might have won. You know, Uncle Rico.
Englishman over the head.
Sorry.
So first game or preseason game was on Saturday.
Yep. Sunday.
Sunday, of course. Yeah, Saturday was a big day down at Austin Blacks. It lost, unfortunately, but you know, overall pleased.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we you know, we've been at it, training and doing everything we can for the past 6 months. So we've had a couple of new additions coming to the team recently within the past like month or a couple weeks, and so it was like really our first turnout, and it was really nice actually getting out, hitting somebody other than ourselves, and you know, actually just kind of letting some testosterone loose, I guess. You know, like San Diego's a great team. They brought a lot of fire, and their backline was really fast, and so it was nice to kind of test our forwards against their forwards, backs against backs, and I mean it was a great time, man. The atmosphere, the crowd there was just electric. We had a couple high school games beforehand.
Oh, nice.
And so yeah, I think that was also really great too, and pretty pivotal. Sorry, for some high schoolers actually get to see some pro rugby, you know, in Austin. You don't really get that all the time.
You got to get that outreach.
Yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely.
But it's, you know, coaches are hilarious because they always talk about, you know, how much time they got to dedicate to training, and you know the percentages are so high in training. It's like, yeah, but we're training because we want to play. Playing is fun.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
So at some point you're like, Coach, can we just play a game?
Well, it's a bit like they always say soldiers, you know, when there's actually a war on, they get excited because they've been training for years and years and years, and they get to actually do what they're training for.
Right.
You know, there's nothing worse than just doing gym and pre-season and just, you know, going, you don't get to play. You want to get, as you say, hit some people.
Yeah, and it was a great test to, you know, actually test our structure, see how we do with a little bit of adversity when something doesn't, you know, go our way, and see how we are actually as a team, you know. And I thought we found some identity within it, and I think we're very close to clicking. So really excited for the rest of this upcoming preseason. We have NOLA coming up this weekend, so that should be another really good match. I know they've had a couple games under their belts, so
yeah, they're improving quickly.
Yeah.
But I want to get on to MLR and spend a good amount of time on that. I want to quickly cover, because last pod we talked about the Six Nations, and I don't know if you saw this, but like this whole sort of issue with Spain and Belgium and Romania. So this is like the Rugby Europe Championship. Spain, first time ever going to qualify for World Cup. They could have qualified if they'd beaten Belgium.
A team they'd already beaten.
They'd already beaten, a team they'd already beaten, and a team that had been smashed by Russia, smashed by Romania, who Spain had beaten. And then they go and blow it, and they lose, and then Romania qualify for the World Cup instead.
Yep.
But at the end of the game, there was all this pushing and it's.
I saw that.
Yeah, it was, which is bad, and a lot of people talking about it this week. These guys are they're not fully pro, most of them, these Spanish guys. It's like once in a lifetime opportunity to qualify for the World Cup.
Absolutely.
You can see why, and the last game, the King of Spain was there, all the media's behind it. You can see why, if you thought you were hard done by, which clearly they have a case for, because everyone is talking about it, even Clive Woodward and so you see why they got a bit upset, right? I mean, I got upset at a D2 game a couple of weeks ago because I thought the referee had been unfair to us. And I had to walk away and get in the car, and I was with Kramer actually. I was like, just drive off.
Well, do you ever been in a situation where you're in a game that you really should be winning, and then it starts off wrong, and then they get a penalty, and it keeps going wrong, and that frustration builds, and it's suddenly there's somebody's probably saying we should be up 20-0, and we're down 9-3. What the hell's going on?
Sure.
You sense that with Spain, right? But how do you get yourself out of that?
Well, it's tough because momentum, I think, is the biggest killer. And it doesn't matter if it's 3 points that you get, just a lucky penalty, or just a good line out, or just anything to really get the motors running. But the main thing, I think, is always keep composure, because no matter what, I mean, rugby doesn't matter how good you are, you're never going to play a perfect game. And I always like to try and keep a short-term memory. It's obviously easier said than done, but if you have a bad pass, you just kind of, you got to think to yourself, all right, my next play is going to not be a top 10 sports center, but it's going to make up for that, where I completely forget about that, because we still have 80 minutes left in the game, so something like that. I mean, obviously a lot of effort and a lot of emotion definitely goes into it, so I can see where they definitely got upset about that. Something to that high magnitude as well. So.
You ever reffed a game? You ever?
No.
You ever referee?
I've done my referee qualification. I've not actually done a full game.
I've reffed a couple of games, and I've been yelled at a few times.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
No, and the worst was that when I was
if you were reffing my game.
If I was reffing a game of a sevens team of refs. They were the worst.
Oh yeah.
They were,
I bet.
But the thing that I notice sometimes is that somebody gets penalized for something, and then they keep doing it, and they get more and more incredulous. And I saw that with Spain. Is that after a while they were going in from the side and taking out the scrum half, and then going back what?
Well, I mean, that's actually that's actually a really good point, because you look at anything, you look at the England problems that they've had recently and stuff. Like Eddie Jones saying, they're not adapting quick enough. You look back to when England were playing Italy, and Italy were doing that crazy thing at the rucks, and just not and you got to adapt to what's going on the pitch, and you got to do it quickly. And so if the referee is interpreting the ruck in a certain way, you have to play to the referee. You can't just keep doing, as you say, keep doing the same thing over and over again, even if you think it's right. You have to change.
That's right.
But so there is updates on this situation. So World Rugby have been looking into it, but they're really waiting for Rugby Europe Rugby Europe to come up with their findings, whatever it is. What makes it worse is, so referee and the two linesmen were Romanian, right?
Yeah, it doesn't really help the case.
Doesn't help the case, right? So obviously the ref clearly had a terrible game. Whether it's biased or not is a big leap, but terrible game. Spain had applied to change the officials weeks before, and it got refused. There was an English ref doing one of the other games which meant nothing. I forget which one it was. One of the other two games, and it had no consequence. And it was one of the English refs who does the Premiership and everything. So it's
so the solution was right there.
The solution was right there for them. So they say they regret this, but the guy who makes the call in Rugby Europe, the president, Romanian, right? And so that's one thing, right? They're now looking at, I forget his name now, Alan Petrash, and Clive Woodward tweeted about it and said it should be replayed. And he said, "Who is Clive Woodward? Clive Woodward is a retiree who does nothing." Someone's getting sensitive. It's who's Clive Woodward? He's won the World Cup, all right. So he may not do much. Yes, Sir Clive. So anyway, now, so Rugby Europe are looking into it.
Spain wants to replay.
Spain wants to replay. They've applied officially for that. They've apologised for the stuff at the end. and there's a meeting this Thursday with Rugby Europe to figure it out. But in addition to potentially doing a replay, now they've found out that both Russia and Romania may have fielded ineligible players.
No way. Big surprise.
Which would disqualify them completely from the competition. Right? So they're now putting the hold on the replay decision until they find out about these ineligible players, because then that may solve the problem. Because if Romania's fielding ineligible players, Spain goes through.
And they were ineligible as being not actually Romanian?
The Russian guy, the guy who played for Russia, I think this is the right way around, had played for Tonga in some random 19s tournament a while ago. And the Romanian guy, I forget what he was. There was some. It wasn't like they're not Romanian. It was they played for someone else or something like that.
Okay, that's the double up thing.
Made him ineligible.
Because if you play for your designated A side, this is a level just below test match, then you've declared for your country, and sevens counts as well. But for the USA, it's USA Selects. You play for the USA Selects, you're an American. For Australia, it's the U20s. They don't have an Australia A. It's just the U20s. So and they've said, if you play for U20s, you're Australian. You can't play for another. So that's what you have to know. And usually it's some guy who's like, great, I've got an opportunity. I'm going to go play. And nobody's told him, by the way, this has just locked you in.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, this is it. I remember Tim Swinson, who plays Scotland now, like he, for a long time, was trying to get in the England squad, and Scotland kept saying, come and play for us, come play for us, come play for us. And he waited and waited, and eventually, I forget who was under, it would have been Stuart Lancaster, I think. No, Martin Johnson, I think it was then when basically Martin Johnson said, I don't pick any second rows below 6'6", and he was like 6'5". So he was like, all right, I'll go play for Scotland then.
And
then he played for Scotland and beat England this time, and he went to,
I was gonna be second row for England, but because of that, I'm just a little bit
5'10", just under 6'6".
That's really nice of you to say 5'10".
It's slightly shrunk a little bit. And then the other thing is that Romanian player who's ineligible was withdrawn from the game minutes before the kickoff, apparently.
Really?
And so it does look pretty
twist here.
So anyway, thought I'd bring that into it. So we'll update you next week on what happens.
One other thing I think is interesting about this for me is that on the 7th Circuit there was a movement to get non-neutral referees sometimes available for games. Like, South Africa or New Zealand would say we're in the final and the best referee is South African, but we don't get that guy because we're playing South Africa in the final, and we're okay playing because we think he's the best referee and he's impartial. But they had this whole thing, you had to have a neutral ref, and with so many games going on in the sevens tournaments, teams were asking for there not to be that problem because they trusted the referees so much, which I thought was interesting.
That's at like top level though, isn't it?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Top level.
You're not going to see the world-class referees. I mean, I'd be happy.
You're not.
But it's when you get a level below, and this is like the problem when you start going down the ranks into the rugby. And this guy's pretty experienced. He does Challenge Cup games and everything, but that's what makes it even worse, I suppose. Yeah. He's an experienced referee, and yet he had such a terrible game.
Yeah.
It was like the penalty count.
It's the worst game to do it.
And right at the end, the not held in the tackle thing that he called back, that was a huge
Well, forget
call.
The Spanish penalties. Belgium gave away like 3 penalties the whole game.
Yeah.
It's like incredible.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you do that? Anyway, so that's the update on there. But we do want to spend, obviously, we're new here, and the MLR sort of pre-season kicking off for more teams this week. We're going to talk more about that, and Alex and I were talking beforehand and saying, it's what level do we think the MLR's at, or do we think we're going to try to get to? And I know Jeremy Turner, who's the president of the Sabercats, had said the goal was trying to get to like the IPA Green, what's it called, Green King Championship or whatever it is, or IPA Green.
It's a fine beer.
It is. It's an English beer. I don't even know what it is. But it's the second level of rugby in the UK, right? So the championship level, which is obviously pretty high quality. We cover on FloRugby with the Pro D2, which I think is actually a bit higher than the championship level. It's probably negligible, but I think there's some great stuff in there. But just from your experience training, playing the first game, like you've played, men's rugby for Austin Blacks, you've played in Canada, like what's the big difference? Is there much of a difference right now? How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'd definitely say so. Like just the overall talent and experience too. With Austin Elite, I think the person with like the least amount of experience is still like 8 or 9 years worth of rugby. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's still so much rugby experience to have, and then you bring in guys like Andrew Sinanua, and then you have like international, like more international experience, like Peter Malcolm and all those guys, and you build off those guys. You learn from all of their experiences, and they're like great teachers to help you get around the pitch, teach you how to see the game in a different different view, especially different positions as well. They're very knowledgeable in that. But I think overall, I mean, you see all the talent. Like all these teams are starting to announce more guys on each team, and you recognize all these names. They've been in the spotlight for years, and so. I think what a really cool aspect of the MLR is it's giving a lot of the club guys like a chance to show what they have too.
Right.
There's a lot of talent here in America, and a lot of it goes unseen. Whether it's where you live or just maybe the team you're on, like maybe just where you're at. They only have a D2 side or something. But and like you've been to a couple All-American camps. Yada yada yada. But like. I think overall it's actually giving everybody a fair play to be on the same pitch and actually show what they have.
Well, that's kind of the point of it, right?
Yeah.
Is unearth talent and develop that talent, and so the national team gets better, and then it kind of snowballs, right? So
absolutely. Well, we were talking about Chris Bowman, and he was toiling away at Steamboat Springs, and just in the summer league in Colorado. It wasn't like everybody knew about it when he was first mentioned as a potential, and that happens with a lot of guys, right? We were going to look at clips.
Let's do. So we were going to. So we're going to play some of the highlights in the Pro D2, and because we think this is a really good level of rugby, and then we just talk a bit about how that could potentially the MLR could get to this level. I mean, from what I've seen in the MLR so far, it's not quite here yet, but you wouldn't expect it to be.
There's a character to each league, right? So Pro D2, I mean, they like to move it around whenever they can.
Yep.
And boy, is it physical as well. So a lot of big
rugby,
guys.
isn't it? It's very physical.
Right. And they like to hurt each other. This is a pretty decent sequence. Perpignan and Angoulême, which is a game we showed live, but you see a lot of guys. They're not all French. A whole bunch of guys from Tonga and Samoa and Argentina as well going in there. But
it's fast though, isn't it?
It's very fast paced. And that's the thing right now. It's kind of tough to tell because with preseason, it's like I haven't seen all of Houston's games. I played them twice with the Austin Blacks, and they're definitely a quick team, very powerful and big, big forwards. But again, I think it all depends on really who you're playing that day, because I mean your tactics are always going to change, your structure is going to change based on who you're playing. But at the same time, like our coach, Coach Alain, who's French, he's really teaching us to just have a lot more freedom with it, based on all the rugby experience and IQ we have. It's, we want to move it as fast as possible and just get around the pitch.
So the French are quite well known for not huge amount of structure, kind of just especially in the Michelak's days, just basically just see what happens, get it out there. I mean, very good set piece and everything, but then when you get it out there, not too structured, trust the talent, everything. How does he coach? Does he coach like that? Is that or are you guys much more structured in terms of what you've got your launch phases and what's going to happen 4 or 5 phases down the road?
So he definitely gives us a lot more freedom. He shows us exactly how the structure is supposed to be. We go over it plenty, but it's really what the game gives you after that set piece play. Every team has their structures and their phases already set out in their mind. But again, if the team overshoots and sends everybody to one side, then you gotta check the other side. Or if their wings come up because they see the backlines moving up too quick, maybe poke it in behind. So it's really like I said, it's more up to the rugby IQ and rugby knowledge based off our fly halves, our 9s, our 15s. Just whoever sees the field wherever it's open and more accessible at, then we attack there. So I'd say he definitely gives us a lot more freedom, but it's more of a little bit controlled, I guess.
Controlled freedom.
Okay.
Yeah, controlled freedom, if that makes sense.
That's good. The American term, which I brought up to some overseas coaches once in a while, is make a read. It's a football term, right?
Absolutely.
Make a read. And sometimes they're like, well, what do you mean? I mean, it's the same thing. New Zealand would do that. It's like we're going to run this our first phase, and then it's just we'll see what's available, right? Play to space. It's the same thing, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, kind of think about it I guess boxing. Everyone has a game plan until you get punched in the face. So then again, you just have to read off the other team and see how it goes. But Yeah, it's it's no different than any other team. It's you have your structure. You just gotta play with that and see how long that goes. But usually, just see the opportunity, you gotta take it.
Compare that and compare what you've been experiencing. We've got another clip, Kai.
Okay.
With what we've got here, which is, again, a bunch of experienced athletic guys. This is on back against the Olympic Club this past weekend.
This isn't the PRP, right?
And this is the PRP. And there's there's Tim Stanfield, number 11. He's played for the Eagles. It's not like these are as a good friend of mine would say, Joe Bag of Donuts.
References to food.
That's right, of course, of course. It's pretty good stuff. There's Jed Gillespie, who played professionally in Australia, setting up.
Carrying the ball in one hand, flicking
yeah,
out.
Right. This is a really nice sequence.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you critique it, might you say, defensively, it's not as difficult, better, worse?
Well, I mean, like I said, it really depends because some teams are a lot better right off set piece, and others are a lot better off scramble defense. So, when you have for instance, that type of play, they're keeping the ball moving, they're attacking from different angles. So, it's on defense. If you're already having to track back after a really long run, then it's kind of tough to, coaches ideally always want you to run backwards, facing where the ball is at. But if someone's making a big break, you got to really depend on your
that's what, trying to turn people towards their own try line is the key, right?
Yep.
But I think 2 points. That one thing that you just mentioned, which is fitness, right?
Absolutely.
And I think I could see you guys. I mean, seeing Knute and other people who've been involved with the elite, and knowing the guys at Sabercat stuff. You guys are doing a lot of training in the gym, right?
Yep.
4 times a week in the gym in the mornings, or
yeah, about 2 days a week. But once the season starts, it's kind of I think we'll go 3 days. Just all depends on the schedule, really.
So, you must have, I suppose, but in terms of your fitness in the last 6 months, must have just increased.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I don't know what the word I was going to say. Extra nominal.
We'll go with that.
Extra nominal is a great word. I love it.
Extra.
Extronomically.
We'll go with that.
Something like that. Has it increased?
Yeah,
exponentially would be.
That's probably what I was looking for. Yeah, that's probably what I was looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. From playing the whole season last year with the Austin Blacks, then I think maybe having a week off and going right up to Canada. I played about 15 games back to back there. Came back here, had 2 weeks off, and then had the combine and been with the elite. So, kind of I was lucky enough where didn't really have to go out of shape, but they've helped me out a lot, staying in shape and getting a lot better. Definitely feeling like I'm in the best shape of my life at the moment.
Do you feel, so that's a lot of games and not a lot of break. Do you feel tired, or are you?
And you're always tired, but at the same time, with the games coming around, it's definitely making it worth it. You know, I always like to think the more obviously you want to be 100%, but whenever a season starts, you're never going to be 100% for the rest of the season. Right. So on top of that, if you learn how to play and train, kind of. Not running on fumes or anything, but it's imagine that one day or that game when you actually get all the sleep you get and then you're actually 100%. I mean, it's a really nice feeling where you know that all the effort and work you put towards throughout the whole off season and preseason, it's actually going to be worth it. So.
Yeah. Cryotherapy.
We have.
Oh yeah, you got to take care of your body big time.
You do some cryotherapy?
Oh.
Make sure to check out US Cryotherapy.
HX Cryotherapy.
The thing about the American club system, a lot of times, they'd have a thing where it's they brought in a 42-year-old fly half to come in and say he's not much of an athlete and he's a little bit past it, but he knows how everything moves, and that's great on the club level, and I think that anybody, even the PRP's been great. I really love it, but there are guys I've seen for a long time who show up for a game here and there and they do great, but it's every week for the MLR, and I think that the work you put in, it's not how well you play in last week or the first game of the season. It's every single getting up and doing it again and again and again. And I would imagine, you're looking forward to it, but it's kind of a daunting thing, the idea that every game is going to be one of the toughest you've ever played.
Well, yeah, you're not wrong there whatsoever. And every team in this league is going to be very competitive, and especially with the teams lined up for next year as well. It's going to be some exciting rugby nonetheless. I am fortunate enough, though, when I was at Davenport, we were in the Mid-South, so this was exactly like my schedule where we had life one weekend, Lindenwood the next, Arkansas State. I wasn't there when Clemson joined, but you know, even adding them, it's like every week you're traveling, or you get. I mean, same things too. You have injuries. You have to travel on a bus with 50 kids, just there and back, and nonstop driving, So, but at the same time, like you're still training just the same amount as we did in college, and it's. When it comes down to it, I think the higher level, it's more so like your passion for it. Some guys will fizzle out, other guys will like stay at more of the club level, or if whatever works for their schedule too, because a lot of people have jobs and they want to focus on their career, which is completely respectable. But when it comes to rugby, and if you really want to dedicate your time, you'll find time to do it, and you also have to have passion for it, because that's what gets you out of the bed in the morning. So
it is, yeah. I mean, you're playing all those games. Luckily, like the MLR season this year is going to be pretty short, isn't it? So it's how many games is it going to be?
I think the finals in July. Like or early July, yeah, but so I think overall 31 games. If I read
for all the teams, yeah.
I think so.
Which is a short season.
Yes.
Like if you look at like most professional leagues,
sure.
They go from September, August through to July.
Yep.
Right. But obviously that's going to change, and we've seen already. Houston have already played 9 games, 10 games at least.
Yep.
You guys are just starting off.
You could argue they could play too many.
Well, potentially.
Maybe.
I mean, I don't know if you saw or read any of the match reports for the game against NOLA at the weekend, but was it 32-all? I think.
Yeah, I mean they started off. They started off well, but one was an interception try, and so they seem to be
back and forth.
Yeah, they on the scoreboard they were in. I mean, it's 13-0 at one point, and so I don't know what the deal is there, but. They're playing
NOLA,
good games.
Like you guys, NOLA have only played 1 game. Like they're just gonna now their improvement is just gonna be like exponential. Exponential.
Right.
Whereas Sabercats are probably getting to a point where they're plateauing a little bit, and then they'll go up again. And
I wonder if these teams are going to get a character. Like is one team going to be like grinded out, and one team is going to be? I mean, I know. Justin Fitzpatrick, he gave me a look when I mentioned this about Houston. I said, well, funny, you come from Seattle where you had a game where you punish them up front and then you get the ball out to a couple of Fijians out wide, and now you've got the same team here. And he looked at me like, but that's kind of how I see it anyway. And I was talking to the guys at New York, and I know what kind of team they're going to have. They're going to have kind of a blue collar, we're going to smash you team. Because they love that. They're going to play defense first, and they're going to make themselves unpleasant to play against.
Yeah, put the pressure on you.
What kind of character does NOLA have? Well, I think they want to play a little champagne rugby a little bit. I know what character does Austin have?
Well, I mean,
with Knute O'Donnell at 9, it's going to be champagne
it's
rugby.
Go.
Oh, totally. It's kind of tough to say. Like I said, we had a couple. Glimpses here and there of our character and our identity. It's we're a fast-paced team nonetheless. But at the same time, like our defense is pretty solid. We have some big boys who love to hit, and like I said, we've been training for 6 long months. So a lot of times in general, I'll look at you right now. If you guys want to see what the kind of character and identity we have, you guys should tune in for the NOLA game this weekend.
There we go.
Should be a lot of fun.
That's good sales. So your fly off, is it Timothy?
Timothy Dean.
Timmy, what do you call him?
The Iceman.
The Iceman, okay, the Iceman. I mean, he's very much a front foot player, right? A front foot fly half. So he likes to have space. He's good when the pack's going forward. Yep. And with the guys you got in the pack, I imagine that's the goal, right? Is to get that front foot ball, which is for everyone, but like they really need to get some the pack working, and you'll be behind them, obviously doing that. And then I think they can play some really interesting rugby. Yeah. I think it's going to be like anyone. I mean, a lot of people talking about this with the Six Nations and stuff, because Ford and Farrell and that England combination, they're like that as well. They're not very good with on the back foot. Right. They're much better, and there's all fly-offs are better when you got going forward. But it's interesting because some fly-offs are better than others. So if you don't get that could be a challenge. Playing getting that ball out wide.
Is that on you, Knute? Are you good when things are backpedaling and there's problems?
I think pressure's for tires. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta like I said, when things are going wrong, it's really important just to take a couple deep breaths. Like I had a high school coach. Like whenever I might have been a little bit razzled, he'd just look at me and just say, take 3 deep breaths, and it goes a long way. It goes with anything in life too. So it's it's one of those things where you have to always you can't psych your own self out, because then at the end of the day, even when you think like, you know, I'll be playing against this guy, or I'll be playing against this team, it's like, you know, like I've also been, like you got to think about how long you've been playing and how many people have played against you as well. You know, it's like not in a cockiness, but more in a confidence, you know, and that's where you got to kind of back yourself up in that aspect.
Got to be confident. Yeah. See, you think if you tune into the Miss Bass thing, it's just going to be rugby, but you get life advice.
Well, for sure.
You know, you get all kinds of stuff from it.
Especially from a scrum half, you know, life coach, scrum half's yelling at everybody. So, right,
Somebody
telling the big
to.
guys how to live, and you know, how the fast guys how to live. It's good.
No, but it's nice. So with our forward pack, I mean, we're like I said, we're fast paced, but what's really nice about it is like our forwards are mobile. You know, and like you don't really get that with a lot of teams. But what's, you know, it's how they chose to pick the team. You know, it wasn't like, because when you look at our team, it's like we're definitely not the biggest out there, but you know, you can tell we're definitely some of the smartest out there.
I've never been in a team ever that. Maybe it's because of my size, but like that people say, everyone's ever said we're the biggest.
We're
team.
the biggest. We're going to steamroll.
Every team I've ever been in always says we're not very big. We're always,
right.
And I don't know. It's interesting.
And we have big boys. I'll tell you that. We
got some strength.
We definitely have strength and numbers there. But
I also very rarely talk to a team or a coach who says that they play boring.
Yeah.
Right. They're always playing interesting. It's the other team that plays boring style.
Yeah, this is true. Anyway, so who you're playing NOLA this weekend? Is there anyone you're really looking forward to playing against?
Man, I'm just excited to play against anybody at this point. You know what I'm saying? I think Glendale's going to be a great match. Seattle should be a lot of fun to play against. NOLA, obviously, I have some buddies on there, DU buddies like JP Luff and Joey Sock, so it'll be nice seeing those guys. Yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, get another crack at San Diego as well. I mean, all the teams in the league are going to be exciting to play against. So
very nice. That's good.
Well, we're running out of time, but
we had the MLR segue is that a couple of your teammates were able to coach their Texas team on Saturday because they were playing on Sunday. So
and you were there.
I was there.
Big rivalry.
Texas A&M. There was actually a big crowd there.
Yeah, that's great.
And it was a big game more for A&M. They needed to win to clinch
Red River.
The Red River South. And talk about frustration. I mean, they gave up a try in the first 4 minutes, and they didn't really get going for a while. I do have a clip because it's kind of fun. I'm talking about scrum halves. Justin Brown was really good for the team. There's the clip going there, but. He had a really good game for A&M, who are the guys in the white jerseys.
Yep.
And this one, it's 12-5, and it's just like, it just was really difficult for them the whole time. But an enjoyable game, and I think Texas, you know, they did themselves proud coming into a rivalry game and playing up to it. And, you know, they're working their phases here, and then there's a nice little break here from Braden Hood.
Nice line.
And, yeah, and then Brown is right there, gets a little pass, and over he goes.
Great stuff.
Puts the game away.
Yep.
Really nice, fun game, and not a bad standard there.
No, not at all.
For Austin, I mean, some of those guys are guys you're going to be recruiting.
Absolutely, and I actually I helped with Coach Mizell with the Scrum Halves for UT actually. So spent a lot of work with them. So they I could tell like the amount of effort and all the preparation they put in each week. I knew that was a big game, but obviously I couldn't be there unfortunately. But yeah, I knew that was definitely a big game. But yeah, seemed like he had a pretty good game.
So you're gonna staying involved with those guys?
Yeah, absolutely. Whoever's sticking around, helping out with passing and all that. And they've actually come to a couple of the Austin Blacks games as well. So and then. I don't know, I'm pretty involved with the community around here.
Yeah, because you do rookie rugby stuff as well, right?
Yeah, I actually have that a little bit later today. I help out at Metz Elementary School.
Very
and
nice.
So that's another thing too. It's I think MLR has a huge opportunity here where they're trying to go more the grassroots program from my understanding. So it's if we get more around in the community and definitely, because it all starts with the younger kids, and we have a couple friends on the Blacks who are involved with Viper Rugby, and I think somewhere in Round Rock or Cedar Park, wherever Ricky Johnson's family's at. But I mean, those kids are doing such a great job and learning at such a young age. All of us, are just so envious because we didn't have that. You on the other hand,
I did.
Yeah,
so
on the other hand, yeah. So it's like that. That's
why my body's broken.
that's when Americans are playing t-ball or picking up 4 other different sports. So
but if you do it with a little kid. And they do it a little bit. It doesn't mean that they play for all the way through, but when it comes up again, they say, "Oh, I played that."
Yeah.
Right. It's familiar to me, and I had fun.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure, anytime I've worked with kids, it's just, I mean, you realize it's just fun. We're just having a good time, and it really just sort of like buoys that it's supposed to be fun feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, any person, doesn't matter the age, you know, it's like, I've never met anybody who hasn't liked rugby, you know, like maybe somebody doesn't love it, but I've yet to meet somebody who's tried it and not liked it. You know, it's a game for everybody.
Well, that's a pretty good place to leave it.
Yeah.
So what do we got? We've got, not this week, but next weekend we got the championship, or the lead up to championship games on FloRugby for Red River.
Yep.
And then Pro D2 returns next weekend as well in the second to last round.
Cal St. Mary's. Cal St. Mary's.
When is that?
That's on the 7th.
On the 7th?
Yeah.
Cal St. Mary's.
So that's going to be a huge
game,
one
huge
because we decide the D1A playoff brackets that night. Because that game and one more, San Diego State Cal Poly play that week, that Saturday. So Saturday night, everyone has to get together, do the rankings, vote, and decide on the brackets next day.
Cal St. Mary's,
like
April 7th as well. Big day, April 7th. Check out that on FloRugby, and we will see you next week, hopefully with Michael Kramer back. Or maybe not.
I'm not Michael Kramer.